DJ LeRoy.
NightWatchman, how you doing, buddy?
I'm well. How are you?
Good, good. How was your week, man?
They're all good, even though they're all crazy.
Why are you saying this is in anticipation of November's election, or what?
Well, look, there's a lot going on in the world. It's not just the election. The possibility of World War III, things like that.
And you, the Night Watchman, you actually get anxiety with that? I didn't
No,
know.
no, I stay in my calm place. That's it. But you have to work on it.
Absolutely. Well, you know what? I think this evening we're going to have another calm place. What do you think?
Well, we got really three great positive individuals that's going to come on and hopefully keep us in that state of calm.
Okay. Well, I think of whatnot that because we already said about the election, and once again, it may be a black woman saving democracy. Well, what about these three women saving the world? What about that?
Well, I think you better clear it with them first. That's a heavy lift.
Wow. Okay. Well. Obviously, the first guest, I know she did something right because why? Because she's coming back, and that could only be Aleathia Brown. Bring it out, the artist. Yay!
Welcome back,
Grand
Aleathia.
risings, black men.
Yes, indeed. Because you know what? Because you did such a wonderful job the last time. I think is this now your third visit to
It's
Soul
third.
Lounge?
Yep.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
You brought a present, right? Don't you get a present after
That's
three?
my energy
Handle
is
handle that.
No. You know what, Night Watchman? We are just accepting the energy. That's what we take. The positivity. That's what we want.
There we go. There we go.
that's pleasant to know.
Absolutely. And and of course our next guest, this is our first time. So are we going to be gentle Night Watchman or what?
Absolutely.
Okay. That could only be Catherine S. Warren, Miss Kitty Rose. Yay!
Hola, chica.
How you doing, my dear?
I am doing well. Unfortunately, I have a menopause cold, but besides that, I'm okay.
Not just the cold, but it's a menopause cold.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. It was not the regular stuff, Night Watchman.
No, you gotta come with the extra pack.
But thank you. I'm excited for my first go around.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely. All right. So now, of course, a woman that I know professionally because I would see her working with the small business community a lot, even some of the nonprofits and whatnot. And that could only be, yes, KTB. Yes. How you doing? You're on mute, I believe.
And you are so correct. Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Hi, Kitty Rose. Miss Aleathia. Say hello. Night Watchman.
Oh, this is great.
So, KTB, I know that you're doing your world tour. So I know you may have to run to the next stop. So why don't we start out with you? And please tell me now, I know you professionally from another life. So tell me about also this author in you. Do tell.
Well, such a pleasure. Yes, this is my fifth book. However, it's my first novella, From Bitter to Better, Chocolate Mama's Journey to Self-Discovery. And, I'm also a certified advanced yoga teacher, meditation, Reiki. So I feel as a Black woman, and I know the other panelists and guests can agree, we are multifaceted. We do all things, but we kind of groove differently. I think as you get older, you kind of find your sweet spot even more.
Yes, indeed. And so do tell now, you're also able to balance what I know you for in terms of doing the marketing, the promotion of the small business community, correct?
Absolutely. It's one of my passions. It's one of my joy. I started out in corporate PR doing entertainment and sports, NBA. And around the migration probably happened around, 20 years ago. I'm dating myself. And, seeing small business, entrepreneurs, women, not really being able to capitalize on promotions marketing. I wanted to provide all the years of experience I had to allow them to be able to build their brand, but also have it be consistent, have it be in line with what they saw their goals, so they can attract customers, sponsorship, but also abundance, right? Making money at the same time.
Gotcha. And of course, Kitty Rose, Miss Kitty Rose, welcome to Soul Lounge Primetime. And you please have to tell me, because you were up on me when we would go to the Harlem Arts Alliance roundtable. So Kurt, when am I coming on? What's going on here? So do tell me about your journey in entrepreneurship.
Well, once again, thank you all for allowing me to first come on for the first time, not the last, because I will behave. The Soul Lounge Primetime. I'm so excited. I've been trying to get on this platform for a minute. But yes, I am Kitty Rose, and my company is called the Kitty Rose Lifestyle. I've been in existence now since 2006. This company was birthed in Harlem. So Harlem has been the cornerstone of my growth and stability in business that has allowed me to be a full-time parent, which now it's interesting because now as a full-time parent, I'm learning how to get to know myself as a parent who's an empty nester now. So that's the path that I'm now on as a business owner, navigating what to do now that I don't have parenting as an excuse for a reason to do certain projects.
Oh my God. You said that word, empty nester. Ain't it a wonderful thing?
I'm still adjusting.
Okay, little pause there.
But it's not a bad place, but it's an interesting one.
Absolutely. And Aleathia, our veteran. So what have you been up to?
Reinvention is always the thing that happens somewhere around the end of the year for me, because that's my birth month coming into November. So I'm always looking at what next, or what I haven't gotten to that has been on my plate, just sitting there looking at me. So I'm transitioning out of this home I live in. I'm transitioning towards some other projects that I've been putting on my bucket list and is moving up to the top of the charts. So from working on the behind scenes on my coffee table book to doing a lot more in the speaking forums, to use my voice on those platforms, and have been doing a lot more presentations on poetic storytelling with music. So working on even an album in the background. So there's a lot of hidden stories that's going on that you'll be like, where did that come from? But it's just been brewing.
Well, I must give you major props, because I love some of the work that you've done, of course, with my guy, DJ Masai.
Yes,
yes. So you know the rhythms. You know how music really call and response with our people.
Yes,
sure.
It's the healer.
Yes, indeed. So, and speaking of healer, I got to know about something, Karen Taylor, in terms of from bitter to better. Do tell.
Yeah, so the book, the novella, I have it right here. It's from bitter. Thank you. From bitter to better, a chocolate mama's journey to self-discovery. It really starts at a point where a group of women who are 40 plus get together and they're navigating everything that the guest said. Life transition, right? Empty nesters. Maybe a divorce, maybe moving, maybe an ailment, an illness, but rediscovering themselves. So they go from a place of being bitter about things that have happened in their lives to creating this circle of a chocolate mamas, women who see each other from different walks of life, different kind of journey, but the common thread is sisterhood, and how in life many things will change, but if you have a core of sisters, women who see each other, you can literally go from bitter to better on a journey. And that is the crux of the story. The first novella, you meet the first sister, Nia, and then there's 6 more to follow where you get to meet each chocolate mama and you find out their story, how they were able to pivot. So
Wow.
it's been a fun ride so far.
Nice.
Thank you. Thank you. It's all
Absolutely.
our stories, you know? Yeah. Thank you.
Wow. So Night Watchman, are you still waiting to exhale or what?
I try to inhale and exhale on a regular basis. I don't wait. I just do it. So,
Right.
Karen, I
You
want
can't
to.
wait, Night Watchman. You got to just do it, right? It's part of
That's
breathing.
right. That's right. That's right. It's as natural as breathing.
Yes.
So, Karen, I want to ask you about the through line for you, because we heard about media consultant, author, certified yoga instructor. What was the sequence that these things developed, and what was the thing that carried you from one thing into the next?
Oh, that's a great question. The thing that carried me from one thing to the next, I'll start backward, is breath, right? Breathing. The pandemic created a big shift for all of us, but for me especially, I felt that with so many things happening during the pandemic, I was going through a divorce. I was selling my home. I was moving to a new state. And so that breath really carried me. I've always loved yoga. I've been a practicing yogi for over 20 plus years. 2019, I became a certified yoga instructor. And the reason is I was dealing with anxiety and some different things that I was trying to handle, and I wasn't doing a very good job because, like you said, I've had many, many jobs, and I don't know what person on earth has not had many jobs because it's a growth transition. But what I did learn in that process is that I loved everything that I was doing, but some spaces I felt like I had outgrown, and I didn't know how to advocate and say, I don't want to do that anymore, or I don't want to do that any longer. So doing yoga, breathing, meditation allowed me to find a safe space for myself to be honest. And once I found that, it kind of opened up areas in my life that were dormant, and it also gave me my voice. And so what's been constant for me to answer that has been breathing and moving.
Wow. Very, very nice. And on that note, noting also your multifaceted self as well, Miss Kitty Rose, as a media consultant in terms of putting your strength and wisdom to the community through art and entertainment. Tell me about that, your lifestyle.
I'm glad you picked up on that, because that's exactly why it's lifestyle, because it's the things that I do in my life that I use as a medium to make money and support my household. So as a media consultant, you know, I forgot to put when you guys asked for our titles, Minister Cat, because that's actually my main platform, and that's how I use. As a minister, I use my life as a testimony. So I use that on different mediums like television, like a podcast, like these different interviews, like my travels, like my performances, like you said, through entertainment, to show the connection of our human struggle and our human pain, and to realize that all of us have the same struggles and pain. So none of us should be embarrassed or ashamed of them. We should embrace them so we can stop the repeated bad behavior that we're doing as society. So my life has been that testimony because of people like yourself, people like Aleathia, and I actually think people like Carrie, because I believe I've met her before.
Yes.
It's these types of energies that help us navigate, because we're so secretive and quiet about things that we don't get a chance to deal with them. So I expose things through my own platform, and then people may shake their head and call up Aleathia and say, what's Kitty Rose doing today? Conversation, it starts people to get thinking and then move them to action. Really, that's what my life is, a call to action for all of us as a society.
Excellent. And you know what? And Night Watchman, you know this to be true. It's often said that there are 6 degrees of separation. But Black professionals putting positive energy in a space, I think it's maybe 1 degree. What do you think, buddy?
Well, with you, it's usually 1 degree because you know everybody. So that's just like you're the cheat code for the degrees of separation.
Night Watchman, this is why you're here. This is why I love you, buddy. You know. So on that note, speaking of the cheat code, Aleathia, you know, we probably met when we were talking, or I think maybe at an opening at the Dwyer warehouse, maybe.
Oh wow. I
Oh,
don't
you
even
know.
remember a time not knowing you, so I can't even tell you where that start point is.
That is absolutely true. There, you know, and remember, not Wakanda, baby. BX all day. Yes. So having said that, you please, when were you doing this evolution in terms of really incorporating? Because I just remember the art, but then
Right.
incorporating the other things that touch the senses. When did that start?
So my other platform, which is Unveiled Unlocked, started in 2012 on the center stage in front of the YMCA at Harlem Week.
Wow.
We started that, and it was birthed out of my time as the visual arts coordinator with the Harlem Arts Alliance. So arts and those energies, again, with healing seems to be the thread with all of us, that I felt the hair-free community needed some healing, but I needed other people who were hair shaming folks who have no hair to actually tap into their sensitivities and their human. So the connection I made was unapologetically showing up with our heads bared to the universe. So I removed the word bald and replaced it with bare, because
Gotcha.
bald means sick and not in control. And
Right.
so with the Harlem Arts Alliance, the other part of me with my visual art voice that came out was I would do these visual art meetings after the Harlem Arts main meeting on a different date during that same month. And it was really trying to get artists, visual artists in particular, but I had other mediums of artists that would show up in these meetings too. And I had birthed my platform program called 2 Hours from Ready. If your ideal opportunity were knocking, would you be ready to answer the ideal call for you? And getting ready and being ready for a visual artist was a thing for me as I sat in those meetings watching at the auditorium at Riverside Church, how many artists, when an opportunity would come, would not be available to get to the table and be in a competitive edge with other artists of other cultures, other communities. So right before the pandemic hit, I had morphed it into an 8-part series. It started out with 1 workshop and then morphed into 8. So over the years, I've been bringing that platform back to the community of artists in my network. And it didn't matter what level you were on. Every one of us needs to revive some part of something that we're not addressing or developing and strengthening. So that was how I gave back. And it also, as a teaching artist, because I do that as well, when you teach, you become the avid student yourself, because you develop other parts of your muscle that need some tingling and stimuli. So for me, it's how I'm also moving in the space that I've been moving in of late, with looking at my own career and the goals and the things that I have to set. Because how dare I say something to you about getting ready if I'm not developing my ready on next level? So I'm taking other leaps.
Beautiful, beautiful. And needless to say, KTB, you are doing the tour around the country. You are currently going to where, and you also have a booking for Big Time, another media company. So do tell, what you up to?
Right. So I am on my way to Harlem. I am so happy to say I'm going to be working with 2 amazing designers out of Harlem, Aleathia Smash and Blue Olive and Javier Valencia. So they have agreed graciously to dress me for all my upcoming appearances. So I'm excited about that. So we can both, it's mutual love. I'm doing ABC TV next week. I'm doing a couple of syndicated radio. I'm in DC for a private event at the Howard Theater and the National Press Club. And then back at New York. It's just happening, but organically. What I will say is I have felt, and I know the panelists can agree, because you talked about menopausal age and so many different things. I do believe for many of us Black women, when we get to a certain age, the demographic, knowing marketing and PR, is that they no longer see us. We are not that viable market that they perceive us to be or not to be, but we actually are more viable when we get to a certain point, because we have more discerning income, right? Discretionary income. We also know what we want. So part of this whole journey for me with the novella. I did it. It was a journal that became a book. A novella is a shorter version of a novel. But what I learned from doing these chocolate book chats are that women of the diaspora want to be heard, want to be seen, want social connection, but also have so many stories of generational trauma that they want to. And I think this novella, a bit better chocolate mama has opened and created a lane where women can get together and breathe. We do some yoga flow, but also talk honestly and openly how we can move forward and let go of trauma. So generations after us will know that this no longer works and it's unacceptable. So that is now the goal of just spreading that love with a smile. And like Kitty said, Miss Kitty Rose said, it's okay to be vulnerable. And I think somewhere along the line, we forgot that vulnerability is actually sexy.
Yes, yes, indeed. So before we go, I definitely have to give a major shout out to Miss Janet Rodriguez, Executive Director at
Yes.
Soul Harlem. Okay.
Yes.
I have to also give a major props to Javier Valencia because he designed a jacket for me that I wore at a fashion show that they were doing. You know, and then of course you say Blue Olive. Can you say Michael Unthank's better half? Yes.
Right. So from Children's Art Carnival. So, you know, life is lifing. Like you said, we are 1 degree of separation. Just doing this project has allowed me to meet so many people and from the diaspora, but also not just helping them, they're also helping me. So, you know, we do reciprocate Black business. We do turn that dollar over, and we are able to spread the word that, listen, there are designers that have worked with a lot of designers that you know, but these folks are equally as good. Go check out soharlem.org, people. The service there is unbelievable. Tailoring, everything you need. I had to just do a plug because they are hooking a sister up.
I love that. Love that. So you're so right, because my wife Karen was actually learning sewing, or actually perfecting a thing in terms of pattern design and so forth. And so major worked under Henry the Tailor there. So it was beautiful.
Yes,
Beautiful.
that's it.
Yes.
You know you're bad when you just need one name, Henry.
That's right.
Absolutely. And you know what? So yes, you guys are not at Soul Harlem yet. But having said that, you know, Miss Kitty Rose, you
Well,
always
first of all, I think we have to let KTB go.
Oh, no, she leave. Are you about to leave the building?
I'm leaving the building. You're about to see the parking lot of the train station. I'll talk to you guys. Thank you for the opportunity, and best of luck to everyone. Peace and love.
Yes,
all right.
You got it. Okay, safe travels for sure. Oh man, Night Watchman. With 2 to go, you still think we have the fire, or what?
Of course we do. Do you see who we have here? Come on now.
Okay. I apologize. I do indeed. But Miss Kitty Rose, you know that you've always had a certain flair in terms of fashion, always noticeable. Yes, you. Okay, so do tell me, where did that derive from?
Oh wow, I wasn't expecting that question. My parents.
Okay.
I'll give them something. My father to this day still wears flat shoes, hard bottom shoes, and slacks just to go to the corner store. But I also think it's when you're a personality, you tend to watch what other things are doing on television. And I come from, at this age, as Karen was mentioning, I'm a very comfortable stage now. So I wear a lot of sneakers now because my feet can't take heels anymore.
Yes.
I find that, since I'm on television, I'm watching other hosts and they're not slacking. They're not slacking in their makeup, their hair, their clothes. So it made me step up my game. It made me step up my game because I felt like being casual worked, but it didn't. I felt like people expect a certain look, a certain type of style when they're watching you. And they want to be inspired. So my clothes tend to want to inspire a level of comfort, but of economic affordability, but also messaging. Like this summer, I came out for the first time. Like I've always done clothing. I've always designed or been involved with designers. But this year, I designed my own collection of wearable art T-shirts. But I wanted them to be statement T-shirts because we all have T-shirts. We got T-shirts for days. So I wanted my T-shirts to have a meaning representing what I already did in every other part of my life. So like one of these T-shirts that I'm wearing, Celebrate Life, and I've worn this shirt different ways. I've cut it up. I've seen other sisters cut it up and be creative with it. But it also allows you not only to be creative, but to, like I said, make a statement in regards to celebrating life, knowing that life is not a dress rehearsal. We are now at the age that, yes, we're going through menopause and empty nester and all of that, but we're also going through a stage where we're losing a lot of loved ones. Because now we're adults, now we're the 50, 60, 70-year-olds. So we didn't know what that was like as children when our parents and grandparents was going through it. So now that we're in it, I want to encourage people to take advantage of today. Life is not a dress rehearsal. It's gone like this. So why not do the best to enjoy what we have, because it is a gift from the Creator, but understanding that while you enjoying this life, that you got to do some pay it forward. You got to do some service. You can't just be here and just receive. What did Ali say? Your service is your rent that you pay. And I believe that strongly. And I believe it because selfishly, it helps. You doing kind truly benefits yourself. So everything I do, whether it's clothes or, what information I'm giving it, ultimately is always to help me in my life and those around me and my children. So like Karen bring it up, paying it forward. Me wearing other designers allows me to expose them, but also allows me to get gear. So it's
love it. And certainly, Aleathia, I've always admired your style as well. And so for true transparency, my wife Karen had her locks for about 18 years, right? And then she decided or whatnot that she was going to detangle. Okay. And so it was maybe a about a 6-month process in terms of without cutting. Woo! The things that you guys do for hair, almost like a daggone peacock attracting the male. So do tell, please.
Yeah, it's interesting what you said. The process of the bearing your head is also lifting weight, because the other thing about cutting hair is when you do cut it, it's a new beginning, because hair carries DNA and DNA carries memory. So any of the things that you've been experiencing while you had hair on your head really is like a toxic handkerchief that's holding the energy from all those things that you've endured during that journey. So, death, breakups, illness, all of that is in those follicles. When you cut the hair, you take off 5 pounds of weight. That's why when you have a massage, you feel lighter, because you're taking off the weight of the stress. And so you also have to mentally lose weight. When just like somebody who's overweight, you're still fat in the mind because you haven't made the mental adjustment. So how people are going to receive you when you take that hair off, because I'm often saying, if I lose a limb, no one questions how feminine or how woman I show up. But if I take hair off, they question my gender, my sexuality, my wellness, if I'm sick, and they're trying to process how they want to receive or accept me being in the space that I show up in. So the transition does happen because of some of the verbal assaults that you get from other people, and you have to then embrace and lean into it so that you can show up in the way you want to without having the reserve of other people's energy on your shoulders, in addition to whatever you're going through. Because even the hair breaking, if you don't have an illness, after the locks get to a certain weight and length, they start breaking. And as we start aging, our body changes. So if we are losing hydration because we're not drinking enough water and we don't have enough nutrients, the hair follicles are going to respond to that just like a plant. So there are so many things that we're not recognizing, like what Catherine was saying about as we age into those numbers that our parents and grandparents, we witnessed them, but they didn't talk about. We're now having to learn our bodies in a new way.
Right.
Nice. And NightWatchman, based on just looking at you, how's your memory?
My memory is good. I do neural exercises every day to keep it. And
That is true. That is
you
true.
know,
Yes.
and listen, I have Alzheimer's runs in my family, so I'm not.
Oh,
I'm not.
yes.
I don't play with that.
That's true. That's true.
I also, by the way, I wanted to remind people. So we did a whole show with Aleathia called Unveiled, Unlocked, and it's definitely worth a watch or a listen. So if you go to our YouTube channels and put in the search Soul Lounge Primetime Unveiled Unlocked, and you can find that show. So you definitely want to follow that theme. And Aleathia is there along with a couple of other people, and really we dive deep into that whole subject of hair. So
Yes, indeed. And hold on. Let me go ahead, Miss Kitty Rose. Yes,
I'm actually a member of Unveiled Unlocked as well.
See?
Founding member. Yes, she's been my right hand on that journey with Unveiled Unlocked. So most of the footage that we've had over the years has been because of Miss Kitty Rose. Most of the production that I did with those projects and the events was with Kitty Rose. So we have been on that journey, and now she's got her wings, and we're still collaborating on things at times, but for the most part we're each doing other platforms and putting more light on these new lenses.
All right, so the community works.
Yes. And speaking of community, so Harlem, she had bought my greeting cards when she was still in her boutique store on 145th and St. Nick many years ago. So it's interesting how we all overlap in terms of that 1 degree of separation. We all have these overlaying businesses. I've been working with the Children's Art Carnival the past 2 years. I would do my paint and sips at there with Michael Lunthink, and then I got to do an exhibition in a shared space at Grace Congregational Church with Blue Olive in April. So all these layers were all overlapping. So as she said names, I was like, wow, we all have these tipping moments with each other because we're all in the same community and the same mind space entrepreneurially with Black excellence. So that's the overlap.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't hear you, Curtis.
I saw the hand moving. Could you say that again?
Yeah. So while you had mentioned Grace Congregational Church, to tell you how small the world is, I run into Reverend Nigel from there the other day, and he says, I didn't know you were on the radio. And evidently he had run into Curtis, who had sent him a copy of our previous show. So the world is really small.
That's why we have to keep talking, because the more we have conversation, the more we find out how we're still connected.
Right.
No. So, okay. So when you say keep talking, I guess we're talking to me, because Curtis is going to be silent for a second here while we work out his issues. So I want to hear Aleathia a little bit more about your process, because and I'm going to get to you and ask you the same question, Kitty, because you guys are you do many things. And it's a continuum. So how do you, starting with you, Aleathia, how do you decide what you're working on today, this week, this month, this year? What leads you to the next thing?
Well, interestingly enough, what's changed over the past, I'd say, decade is I started really putting a new word in my vocabulary, is curating. I started, instead of showing up as an artist and doing project after project or exhibit after exhibit, because every time I do something, I get an invitation either through an organization or there are platforms that I'm coming up with. But to curate this means I'm intentional about what I'm going to seek out for the coming year or the month, or just what's on my bucket list. So my process has really been looking at in my notebooks, and I have a ton of them around me, what it is that I have listed and haven't gotten to, because you write things down so that you can come back to them. And then I start looking at where these things are an evolution of me, and the overlap. So I'm a storyteller on and off the canvas. So no matter what I'm doing, there's story in color, there's story in poetic journeys that I've been on. There's story in what happens to people who are going through transitions with hair loss or just hair removal. There's story in every aspect of what I do. So that's the common thread. And so the process begins to weave itself when I start looking at which project in this particular moment that I'm putting my work in. My art is talking about us culturally, and it's talking about where I am visually. So I'm often looking at sometimes old projects that are new to my audience because you haven't seen where I've been, but then I put them in front of a camera and I put them in a space, like when I did the showcase at Grace Congregational Church in April. It was a conversation that the two curators on the behind scenes who had worked with me and collected my work started having, and they moved me into that space. And then suddenly I put a whole other spin on how I showed up with the work that I was telling the story visually with. So there's always a process of what is the platform that I'm working with. If it's me exhibiting my work, is it new work? Is it work that I have had in the past, and how it speaks to the platform that I'm in at that particular moment. So there's always an intention on what I want people to walk away with, what I am saying in the now, and what I'm saying that's timeless. Because I think the art should be timeless enough that it doesn't matter whether the date that I created it in is old or new, that there's still always a nuance that you're going to learn. Just like when you read a book, you might come to the same book 10 years from now because you're in a new place. You're going to pick up different things that you didn't see when you read those pages before. So my space is always evolving and reinvigorating where I've been and where I'm going so I can leave footprints.
Beautiful, beautiful. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Live and in color.
So,
yes,
Minister Cat, same question for you. Same question, which is just the through line, and how does your creative energy evolve into the things that you do on a regular basis?
So I allow the Holy Spirit to guide me in my decisions on what I'm doing next. So before COVID, I don't know if you guys remember, but through the Harlem Arts Alliance, we used to end every year at the Museum of Natural History for the Kwanzaa Fest.
Wow, wow.
My year would start in March and go all the way to December 28th of events and projects of whatever I was doing for that year. So when December is over, we come into January. January is usually my process month. I allow the spirit to kind of talk to me, tell me what direction I'm going in. I said earlier that my life is very selfish. So I figure out what is going on in my life at the moment. What is helping me? What am I doing? What's my next step? Being a part of Unveil Unlock definitely gave a lot of direction in my growth of my business, because it took me in places that I didn't realize I was going in, as far as being a storyteller and then a cinematographer. But that was all evolvement of allowing the Holy Spirit to talk and be placed in my heart to guide me in which directions I needed to move next. So in January, I kind of allow what's going on in my life at the moment. What's helping me today? Then I figure out, okay, well, how can I make that profitable? How can I monetize that? And I love the word that Aleathia used when she said curate, because I think that, curating does take control and ownership of the projects that you're doing, instead of just being involved in project, which is what I was doing for a long time, piggy bank off of other people's organizations, thinking that would help me or lead me or guide me or make me somewhat bigger, not realizing that my own audience that I had been growing since coming to Harlem in 98 was the people coming and doing anything with me. It wasn't what I was attached to. It was kitty, it was cat myself. And then, like you, Aleathia said, giving me now, or me now having my own wings, a lot of that encouragement, her being a mentor to me, other people like yourself and Rosa that were kind of seeing my development and helping in that process, allowed for what the spirit to lay on my heart to then be manifest. So in February, I figure out how I'm going to make these things happen. And then for Women's Month, execute everything that's in that mind during those 2 months of developing and processing. And then once March comes, I would have already lined up events or projects or collaborations that I'm going to do. And then once March comes, I run through all the way until December. Now, since COVID has entered our lives, my process is a little different in a sense of I still allow the Holy Spirit, but now projects are over like in October or September. So now I have 3 months to figure out what I'm doing for the next year. But this year I did a lot of, as I was coming into what I'm doing, because I also turned 50 this year.
Go ahead.
Yes. I was already planning what 2025 was going to look like because of the progression and how well and how bad 2024 did. It set the steps up for what 2025 is going to be.
Beautiful, beautiful. And you know what? I got major props, because like aging while in place and also accepting the process, because Aleathia, we certainly do know that it does not crack, okay? However, sometimes when we're young, we actually do stuff to accelerate the process. So are there certain things that you were doing when you were younger that you that you have backed away from?
Oh, most definitely. I would say in November of 2024, 2023, I stepped into 60. So really,
God bless. Look
yes,
good, lady. Yes.
thank you very much. But the stepping into it, because I said I didn't turn 60, because I stepped into 60, because there were so many nuances, what I won't do anymore, embracing and leaning into unapologetically. I worked hard and have earned the journey to be able to say what things I won't do, and honoring my no is what I really started learning to do. And I think this year, 2024, from January to now, I've actually turned down more gigs. Not that I didn't need the money, but because the integrity of the gig wasn't matching the amount of work that my show up entails, because I can't undo and unravel all my experience and my expertise. And when people don't want to pay for that, because I'm sorry to say, but it seems to be a difficult thing for people to understand that what you do as a professional doesn't just show up when you walk into the room on the day of the event. It actually happens through a whole lot of back and forth emails and the process. So in June, I did a speaking engagement at a corporate office in the MetLife building. And one of the things was I had to say to the lady when we were negotiating my price, I said, you've given me 13 emails in 48 hours. And for me to answer all of that and do all the other moving parts that I need to do to show up come June means that you need to pay, and those are billable hours that you're taking up my space that I could be working with other projects and other clients. For you to have my undivided like that, that is why you're not just paying for the day of or the 2 hours that I'm in that space on that day. You're paying for the culmination of that and all the years it takes me to be able to make it seem smooth. When you go to the doctor for 15 minutes, it was how many years of their education that they could diagnose you in those times that you're sitting in that examining room. And recognizing my professional prowess has been me having to educate the client, because most people don't really understand the invisible parts to what we do to show up smoothly. Why I get a lot of repeat business has been because most people don't have to hold my hand. They don't have to worry about what my deliverables are. And they know that whatever I show up in and do is always going to be with excellence, because my brand is how I get to the next with how I show up in the now. And so for me, the stepping into 60 is I'm seasoned, and I lean into that, because I said, although you may not see the cracks, I know all the toll that has been taken on my body and mind having to be in that space. And I'll say to you, Bob, you know, I won't subscribe to Alzheimer's falling into the frailty of my family as a condition. I think lifestyles have a lot to do with it, as people are starting to really learn what Alzheimer's is. Both of my grandmothers had it. My father had it, dementia, and my mother is now 82 and does not have it. And so I got her to a healing place that for the past, well, most of my life I've been her healer, but for the past decade or two, I started looking at brain health and the foods we eat and the meditation and the mindset. And I started looking at, you know, most of our inherent illnesses come from the lifestyle that we have, not understanding that if we inherit the lifestyle that our parents and family members have, we're going to be predisposed to those illnesses that come with that. If you change that, I never had fibroids, and I'm the only woman on both sides of my family that never had it, because my lifestyle and how I was eating, and every illness I've ever had, kidney stones, acid reflux, you name it, I got rid of by changing my diet. Diabetes, got rid of it by changing my diet. 100%. Even doctors have said to me, in 20 years of medical practice, I've never seen anything like this, where they did blood work and nothing showed up in my system as even existing. And it was fully in there when I came. So I am a proponent of wellness, because before there was holistic, before there was any of these names that we use now, I had food allergies. And as a child, I had to carry a diary to list everything I put in my mouth. And so ingesting information as well as food is really changed the way we live exponentially. So I want to say, if you learn what the brain does, just like there was a doctor talking about how they're doing neuro studies of how music has been changing, how we don't have to take as many pills, we don't have the memory loss. When my grandmother would listen to music from hymns of church, she would go right back into the song and fully know every word. And that's part of the brain that's triggered when you hear those sound waves. So I really want to engage people to change the language on what dis-ease is and does, because there are cultures that are older than us that don't have any of those ailments. And there's a reason for that. It's the lifestyle, and it was what you put in your body and ingest. As I'm detoxing now, coming off of a 21-day raw food diet, just resetting my energy. I've taken off like 25 pounds in the past month and a half, just again changing how I'm eating, changing how I'm living.
Gotcha. Well, Minister Cat. Oh,
well, hold on. I have to resonate with everything that Aleathia is saying, and so you know, all the things you're talking about, I just kind of feel it. First of all, I agree with you on everything you're saying about the lifestyle and all that. I practice the same thing. I'm very careful about what I eat. Also, about what you said about the music is important, because my dad, you know, even going up to, you know, right before he passed, he used to play the piano, and that was one part of it that really kept him in there. So that's for people who are dealing with parents with dementia issues. Keep the music going for them. That's a way to keep them engaged, and also keep them happy, because the whole thing is that even in that process, people still have to enjoy their life, even if they don't have the same connection to themselves. So, I saw that with my dad, that the music was so important. I also want to say, Aleathia, I also really resonated with what you were saying about how you handle those clients, and reminded people of your worth and how that builds up, and that's great. I think that that hits a lot of bells for many. I saw Minister Cat shaking her head when you were saying that. We've all been there and unfortunately there's for artists and creatives, there are certain sets of people who are always trying to play creatives for cheap, and use their creativity to draw people to an organization or event, but try to get it on the low all the time. And unfortunately, because a lot of people in the creative lifestyle have to get their stuff additively and feel that they need that next check. Right. And so sometimes people devalue themselves or allow themselves to be devalued. And so, you know, what you're saying is so important in terms of being able to understand your worth and then put that out and make sure that people connect with what you are actually bringing, and be ready to walk away if, you know, if the situation is not right, you know, because that's how you train people. Because if you train people that you're going to take the shortcut, they're going to go back to you again and again and always trying to do that. Meanwhile, pocketing, because other people know how to monetize. They know how to create a spread between what they're paying you and what they're actually getting.
And so NightWatchman, I have to ask you that. Are you telling me that then Black creatives, right, or they are undervalued? Is that from their own? Or let's say, well, what about the Black community? Do we appreciate our artists and creatives?
I think we do, but sometimes we don't value them well enough. And sometimes we don't respect that we have to, you know, people need to be compensated for what they do, you know, because sometimes that's the worst ones are the people who want the family discount all the time. And it's like, if you're in the family, you should be supporting the artist too. So, I mean, you know, there can be some give and take, but if every time you're trying to get the artist or creative to do whatever they're doing for free, you're not supporting, you know, you're not understanding that the value that our artists bring to our community, it's what keeps us together. It's what brings people to a place of peace. Think about the importance of music, the importance of visual art, the importance of performing arts, the importance of the great writers that we have, you know, to help us make sense of this experience, which is we have a very multifaceted experience here in America. Some of it is great and some of it is quite horrible.
Yeah, so, absolutely.
You know, and the art and culture allows us something. It's like a train track that brings us through it, that keeps us together and reminds us who we really are.
Absolutely. So one of the things, of course, Minister Cat, you know, I'm loving you already for coming on Soul Lounge Primetime, because you're battling a cold. I can hear it. You know, so definitely thank you for that. And you heard, of course, what the NightWatchman was saying. So please expand on that in terms of, let's say, some folks devaluing our work.
Well, I don't know if it's some folks devaluing our work. I mean, I think that's a part of business, unfortunately, you know, and it's a part of life, unfortunately. But I think what happens is it's the training process. You know, as we're training or learn or being trained, we're also teaching others how to be, how to be, as Brother Bob and Aleathia both mentioned. But it takes time for us to realize that. It takes time for us to get to know. And what happens is that so many times the gatekeepers want to keep that information silent. You know, so the process becomes so much longer when it doesn't have to. I remember one of my first times when I was trying to get work as a cinematographer, as a filmmaker, and I had did like this holiday special, and I was shooting for like $150 and editing and it was like a package.
Wow!
I got 4 photographers emailed me cussing me out, like, don't you do that, like you cannot do that, like you cannot do that. And I realized, okay, I had to, you know, get told that don't sell yourself short, because not only are you affecting your business, but you're affecting the business of this medium. You know what I'm saying? So it took a minute for me to figure that out. And then it also took me a minute to figure out all money wasn't good money. You know, a lot of times, you know, you take money out of desperation, but if you rely on the Holy Spirit and you rely on your purpose, you realize that you don't have to move that way. Because sometimes you take these gigs because you need the money and they cost more, as Aleathia was saying, they cost more than what you actually got paid. But that's because you didn't understand the process. You only charge the person for the actual event, the actual show up. You didn't charge for your process, but you learn these things as you grow in your business. Which is why so many people don't last. You know, if you don't make it past 5 years or 7 years, these are some of the reasons why, because you're not taught that, okay, you have to learn your worth. You have to pay your dues, you know, and people don't want to pay dues. People don't want to, you know, go to the beginning. Like sometimes the money that you asking, you're not worth yet. So you have to also, Aleathia and I can say what we want because we know our worth. But that's a minute, you know what I'm saying? So but we also have people like each other that guide us through. I don't hold information. When I see a young business owner or a young artist, I share information immediately. Whether they listen to it or not is on them. But they're not in the dark waiting 10 to 15 years to understand the blueprint and the process of business and understanding your business. So when you make it past that, like marriage, when you make it past that 7 years, then you could be like, okay, so now you got 15 years. I almost got 20. Aleathia got 20 plus. Once you get to that point of your career, of your business, of consistently running your business through those ups and downs, then you can say, okay, I'm not taking this gig. Okay, I'll take this gig. But it takes a minute. And I think what we do as mentors, as teaching artists, is we give that information to young business artists, business owners, and artists early on so they don't get discouraged in this journey of a business owner, of an entrepreneur, because it is a journey. It is not something that happens in 5 years or 2 years or even 10 years. It is something that it becomes seasoned and through endurance and through the downs, it's really how you become successful in understanding your worth.
Beautiful, beautiful. No, that's well said. And I love, Minister Cat, what you said. It doesn't happen like immediately. As a matter of fact, my wife, who's, you know, the voiceover actress, right? Her stuff is popping now, right? And so an overnight sensation that took 27 years.
Right.
Okay? you can't make that stuff up.
No.
So NightWatchman, we are coming to a close of Soul Lounge. So, you know, I need to know, let's say, Aleathia, in the next coming months, what you got popping, how can people get in touch with you, all those good things. Do tell.
So we are now in October, which the Harlem Arts Alliance recognizes as Arts Advocacy Month. And so what I have been looking at is what art advocacy really is. It's when organizations and grassroots and nonprofits are really invigorating and supporting the arts, because like we were just talking about, it preserves the ecosystem. When you think in terms of what the layers of an artist's work is okay, we beautify and we uplift and give you those moments of escape, but we also are healers. So when we have the supporting and the supporters of our journey, we get to still be in the communities and thrive. So for Arts Advocacy Month, I'm one of the presenters again, and I really am changing this platform somewhat because I am preparing myself, and I'll say it to the universe out loud, for doing a TED Talks, because that is on my bucket.
Congrats.
And so,
Congrats.
thank you very much. And so in me changing gears, you will start seeing how I'm presenting at these meetings now. I'm looking at using my voice more like in the vein of a TED Talks while I'm sharing my art and how I move through the space. So I've been planning this and putting it in motion, and now I'm more active on the behind scenes. So in the coming months and the coming year, my plan is to submit the application for the TED Talks, but also to start moving in the space of doing more speaking gigs, paid speaking gigs, because one of the things that I'm clear with, I learned my lesson giving the low ball price, and I came home one day, sat in my car, fell asleep as I parked, and then I walked wobbling to my building, find out that there was a bill in the mailbox that I couldn't even pay, and I did all of this work. And the check that I got for that day wasn't enough to cover what I just had in the mailbox. And that was the lesson, that when I see how I'm pricing myself and the disservice I'm doing myself, I'm advocating for myself when I learn what to say to people to educate them. Because the pivot is getting them to understand and then acquiesce to what I'm saying by how I'm delivering it.
Absolutely. And as universe, you hear paid gigs.
Yes.
This ain't free. Okay, just so you know, and you're getting quality stuff. That it ain't free. I love that. Look, Minister Cat, do tell what's upcoming.
So I have 3 projects that's getting ready to happen. In 10 days, I'll be going to Kenya, Africa, and I am visiting the Good Samaritan Children's Orphanage, which houses 62 kids. Wow. And I'm taking, I'm buying in Kenya personal hygiene and toiletry items that I will be filming, purchasing, and going to the orphanage, giving back while I'm on vacation. And I say that I want to encourage everyone that when they're on vacation to give back to the city, country, or state that they're in. When I went to New Orleans in May for my 50th, I did some volunteering, and that really set the tone. So I'm doing a volunteering again on my last vacation of this year. I'm going to Kenya, Africa. Also, I am one of the featured artists next month for the Harlem Artist Advocacy Month. So I'm loving the fact that they're going to feature my work. And the current work that I'm doing is this parenting series that I'm working on. Well, not I'm working on, that I'm actually involved in right now, with Harlem Arts being my fiscal conduit. In the grant season coming up, I am doing a global world tour of a parenting series, helping parents navigate raising adult children. And what life is like as an empty nester. Even if the adult children come back home, they're coming back home on a different level, so that you're still this empty nester, because now you're getting the opportunity for the first time as a parent to now learn yourself, And then I'm producing. I'm loving it. And right now people are trusting me to produce their television or their podcast shows. So using my credentials as a public access community producer here in New York, I'm producing content now for other podcast creators, other television producers who want someone professionally who's going to produce their shows for them. So those 3 particular projects is what I'm involved in, is what I'm getting ready to embark in on another level for 2025, to still be a part of this healing work that I'm on.
Beautiful, beautiful. Ladies, incredible show.
Thank you.
So, NightWatchman, do you think that they will be invited back to the cookout or what?
Absolutely.
You said, well, hold it. Now, what do you got? Are you guys bringing ribs or?
They're bringing healthy food. Come on, man. Don't even play.
With my foot in it, because it's going to have all kind of stuff in it.
There you go.
Yes, essential. Thank you. So NightWatchman, what you going to do? You going to take us home or what?
I'm home already. You're listening to Soul Lounge Primetime on WHR 90.3 FM, the voice of Harlem. Also live streaming on YouTube and Facebook. You can always find us on Monday evenings, 7 p.m. on the radio, 8 o'clock on your favorite channels. Thank you, ladies, for a great show. Thank you, Karen Taylor Bass, who had a little bit earlier. Aleathia, Kitty Rose, aka Minister Cat, thank you so much. And thank you, DJ LeRoy.
Wow.
Thank you, Black Man. Thank you, Kitty Rose, for the conversation and keeping the smile on my face, starting my day.